Welcome. We're a couple minutes early here. We will get going in 2 minutes here. Just checking to make sure that there aren't anybody having any log-on issues. I'll give you a moment to get that fresh cup of coffee. Whatever you need to do, take that last minute phone call before we get going. My name is Bree Hootable, and I'm going to be your host today. We'll just take a moment and let everyone log on. Welcome as you're just joining. We are just taking a minute as folks are logging in. We'll get started in just a minute. My name is Bree Hootable, and I will be your host today. Again, just take this minute, settle in, take that last text, get that last cup of coffee going, just like myself, and we'll get going in just a minute. All right, it's noon where I am, maybe a different time zone where you are, but let's go ahead and get going. Hi and welcome. I am so glad you are here. I know the idea of buying a home can feel very overwhelming, especially if you're thinking, there is no way I can afford it right now. This session is going to show you that home ownership may be a lot closer than you think and more affordable too. My name is Bree Hootable. I'm a realtor and home ownership coach, and I help people just like you get a real good visual and get clear on the process, avoid common mistakes, and use real programs that actually work. So today isn't a sales pitch, it's a strategy session, okay? Plain and simple. In the next 20 minutes, you're going to know everything you need to know about some of the great Texas programs that are available. We're going to focus on some real options for buying with little to no money down. And I'm going to show you how it works. Okay, so before we dive in, let's set the tone for this working session. If you can, I invite you to minimize those distractions. I promise it will be worth your time. What we will cover today can change the way you think about buying a home and maybe even the timeline you thought it was possible in. You are closer to home ownership than you think. So even if you're starting from scratch or you've been stuck in the maybe someday mindset, today is a fresh start. Here's exactly what we're going to be covering today. First, we'll break down how you can buy a home with little to no money down and what that really means with no sugarcoating, okay? Then we're going to talk about some special benefits available to Texas heroes. That's teachers, nurses, first responders, veterans, and others, okay? You'll learn about mortgage tax credits that can save you thousands over time. Most importantly, I'm going to show you how to get a personalized plan that fits your income, your credit, and your timeline. And so by the end, you will know your next step. Okay, this is not a one-size-fits-all checklist, but it's a real strategy based on your specific situation. But first, a little bit about myself, quick intro. I'm Bree Hootable. I'm a realtor. Yes, I also come from a healthcare and education background. I approach home ownership the same way I've approached everything in my career. Practical, straightforward, and centered on real people. I created Dr. Healthy Homes because I believe your home is more than just where you live. I believe your home is more than just where you live. It's where your health, your peace of mind, and your future begins. I'm also participating in TSHAC. I am a TSHAC realtor, which means I am trained to help you access programs through the Texas State Affordable Housing Corporation. That's what TSHAC stands for. And today, we're going to explore how those programs can work for you. But first, a little story. Let me tell you about two of my favorite clients. This is Margaret and Ruth. Margaret is 72 and Ruth is 92. Yes, you heard that right. And they were first-time home buyers. Guys, these are women are proof that there is no age limit on dreaming or achieving those dreams. They spent 4 years working to improve their credit and get financially prepared to buy a home. 4 years of patience, intention, persistence. And when they were finally ready, they reached out to me. And so together we found a program that matched their needs, a grant that they qualified for, a grant, okay? It's not a government program, it's a grant. We completed the whole buying process, okay? And the best part, they did it mostly from their phones. Can you believe that? From digital signatures to grant paperwork, they navigated it like pros. This wasn't just a transaction. This was transformation. And here's the truth. If Margaret and Ruth can do it from mobile phones and forms, lender apps, and all through their phone, so can you. I wish you could have seen the smiles on their faces the day that they got their keys. This is their home. They had always assumed home ownership was out of reach. Too late, too hard, too expensive, but with the right support and the right tools, it wasn't any of those things. In their words, we thought it would take years. Bree helped us with a program we'd never heard of, and we closed with 0 down. Now, that might not be the case for everyone, and I'm going to walk you through some examples, but little to no money down, okay? Their home is more than just a building to them. To them, 3 generations are going to live underneath this roof right here in Texas. It's stability, it's freedom, it's legacy. And that's really what this session is about. Helping you or someone you love move from uncertainty to clarity and eventually into a home of your own. Because it's not just possible, it is happening, and you could be next. I think one of the biggest misconceptions that stops people from moving forward with home ownership is the idea that you have to put 20% down, right? We've all heard this. That number gets thrown around like it's the law, okay? But here's the truth. Most first-time homebuyers don't put 20% down. In fact, with the right programs, many people put far less down, sometimes even 0, okay? There are programs designed to support first-time home buyers, and today we're going to focus on one that helps Texans just like you. Down payment assistance exists to help bridge that gap between what you've saved and what you need to close on a home. These programs aren't just for people in crisis or extremely low income, okay? They're for teachers, nurses, first responders, and everyday working people who are just trying to get their foot in the door. So let's start by shifting that mindset, okay? You don't need 20% saved. That belief may be holding you back more than your actual finances, okay? Let's talk about some real numbers here. Let's walk you through a simple example so it just doesn't feel like theory or some story that I'm telling you. Say you're looking at a home for $250,000. It sounds like a big number, and yes, it is. But with a program like T-Shack, you could get up to 5% in down payment assistance. What does that require? What does that translate to? Okay, 5% is $12,500. And you don't have to come up with out-of-pocket cost, okay? So here's the part that surprises most people. In some cases, that assistance can cover not just your down payment, but your closing costs as well. So that means your total out-of-pocket to buy that home is potentially $0. Now, quick note, yes, when you put less than 20% down, your loan will likely include something called PMI or private mortgage insurance, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It's a small monthly fee added to your mortgage just to protect the lender, okay? So don't get scared of that. But here's the thing. PMI isn't forever. It can fall off once you build enough equity. And honestly, for many people, it's a worthwhile trade-off to get into a home now rather than waiting years to save that big down payment. This is how folks are making home ownership happen. without draining their savings or waiting until the perfect time. Because let's be real here. Time rarely shows up. The perfect time never really shows up. Sorry, I made that mistake. But yes, that's true. There's no perfect time for waiting. So this next section is really close to my heart, okay, because it highlights these programs created specifically for people who serve our community every day. If you're a teacher or if you're a nurse or a veteran police officer, firefighter, EMT, okay, you may qualify for what Texas calls a Texas Hero Program, okay? And the state has built in some powerful perks to help you become a homeowner. What does that look like in practice? Well, you may be eligible for what we call is a free mortgage credit certificate. I'm going to go into a little bit more of that in the next slide. Plus better loan terms, okay? Here's the big one. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer for this particular program to qualify. And so that's a common myth with many programs, but this is not one. So if you are a Texas Hero and you've already bought a home, and then maybe you're an apartment or a rental somewhere and you want to buy another home, this could be an option for you. And it's a game changer, okay? Because I've had clients who thought homeownership was out of reach until they learned about these options, okay? They went from renters to owners because someone simply told them they were qualified. These benefits aren't just generous. They're designed for you. And sometimes that small boost is all it takes shift from waiting to move to moving way forward very fast. So let's talk about that benefit, that mortgage credit certificate that most people have never heard of, okay? Even though it can literally save you thousands of dollars year after year. It's what's called a mortgage credit certificate, or an MCC. This is a real tax credit, not just a deduction. They're different, okay? The difference is a deduction lowers your taxable income. A tax credit takes money off your actual tax bill, dollar for dollar. So how does this work in practice? Well, if you qualify for an MCC through TSHAC or a participating letter, okay, you can claim 15 to 20% of that mortgage interest you pay each year as a direct tax credit. And it's not just a one-time deal. You can claim it every year for the life of your loan. So as long as you live in that home, that means you can potentially save thousands over the next 10 to 20 years. Here's something even better. If you're a Texas Hero, like I mentioned before, teacher, nurse, veteran, EMT, law enforcement, this credit is free when you use the program. So this is one of those quiet game changers. Not only helps you qualify for more upfront assistance, but it supports you long term. So let's look at what that savings actually looks like in dollars and cents. So let's break this down into some real numbers, because I think this is where it's going to click. Say you take out a $320,000 mortgage with an interest rate. We're gonna make it big because we've seen these numbers, okay? 7.6%, okay? Even though the mortgage rates have gone down, okay? In the first year alone, you'd pay roughly $24,000 in mortgage interest. With a 15% MCC tax credit, that's $3,660 you get back in the form of a tax credit. Not a refund, a credit against what you owe the IRS. That's like getting an extra $305 a month back to your budget. And it gets better. This credit can actually help you qualify for a larger loan amount up front, because lenders can count it as additional income during your pre-approval process. It's like giving your buyer it's like giving your buying power a boost without touching your paycheck, okay? And again, the benefit doesn't expire as long as you live in the home. So it keeps working for you year after year after year, which is very rare in the world of real estate, okay? So the MCC can be the key to buying more home. qualifying sooner, and feeling more confident about those long-term cost of ownership. Okay. Let's take a moment and talk about the real barrier that most people face. It's not money, it's not credit, but feeling overwhelmed. Okay. The process can feel like learning a new language overnight. And that's why I don't just hand you a list of lenders or links and walk away. My goal is to walk with you step by step. From our first conversation to the day you close, I'm here to help you make sense of it all. You'll also get connected with a trusted lender. Okay. Not random ones. I know these people. I work with these people. Okay. Some of them have done many loans on my homes for me, as many as I've bought throughout my life. But the people who are TSHAC approved and trained in these specific programs, you're going to get connected with those. And that matters. Okay. They understand the paperwork, the timeline, the quirks of grant funding. Okay. They've done this before. They've got your back. On top of that, there's real world education available. There's some free courses, some home buyer workshops, and some tools to help you feel prepared and confident. And I'm going to share some of those with you. Okay. Not overwhelming you, because no one should ever feel like they're not smart enough to buy a home. All right, let's do a quick check-in. Has this been valuable to you? Are you starting to see the new possibilities? Maybe this helped you understand options you didn't know existed. Are you feeling a little bit more equipped to take the next step? Is this making sense? Are things starting to click now? Like how the process works or how these programs actually help? Maybe you're walking away with tools you didn't have before today. Can you picture it? Can you see yourself standing outside your own front door, keys in hand? Are you excited about what's possible? If you answered yes to any of those, then this time together was worth it, because you got some education. What's the next step? Well, it's closer than you think. Okay. So here's a simple recap of everything that we've unpacked in the last 15 minutes. Okay. You don't need 20%. With the down payment assistant, your upfront cost might be fully covered. Okay. Texas Heroes, get more. If you're a teacher, nurse, veteran, or serving your community, there are extra perks for you. That includes free access to valuable tools like the MCC, mortgage credit. Okay. It can save you thousands. We're not talking in theory. These are actual dollars that you can save year after year after year, also boosting your ability to qualify. And most importantly, you're not doing this alone. You've got someone in your corner walking you through this step by step. So let's talk about what happens if you're ready to take the next step. The session is completely free, right? There's no commitment, there's no pressure. But if you schedule a session with me, just a conversation that's tailored to you, we're going to walk through the rent versus buy conversation, because this isn't a one-size-fits-all decision. I can help you compare your current situation with what owning could look like for you. Not just financially, but in terms of long-term goals, lifestyle, what stability means for you. The next is an eligibility check. Okay, we're going to explore what programs you might qualify for, including grants, MCCs, and whether you might fall under a Texas Hero benefit. Everyone's income, credit, and timelines are different. So what this does is this gives you clarity on your personal starting point. And finally, we're going to build this custom plan together, okay? And this is your roadmap, okay? I want you to walk away knowing what your next step is, whether that's fixing something on your credit, connecting with the lender, or just gathering documents for later. My goal is clarity for you all, not pressure. Here's what you're going to get if you sign up for your free buyer strategy session. Okay. First, a personalized DPA review, okay? Down payment assistance review. We're going to look at real numbers based on your income and your household size to figure out what down payment assistance is actually, what's really actually available for you on the table, not just some vague possibilities, right? Next, we're going to look at an income snapshot. That gives you a ballpark of what price range you actually would qualify for, even if you're not ready to apply for a loan yet. There's no guesswork, there's no assumptions. And then what we'll do is we'll do a credit insight check. Okay, check it. This isn't a full credit pull. What it does is it helps you understand what lenders are looking at and what your report might be telling them. And if there are red flags, you'll know what they are and what to do about them. And then finally, we'll go through the pre-approval prep. Okay, if you're ready to move forward, I can connect you with a trusted T-Check approved lender who's already doing these programs. Okay, you'll know exactly what's needed to get pre-approved and how to do it confidently. Okay, even if you're not ready to buy today, this buyer strategy session, okay, plants the seed so you know that when you are ready, you won't be starting from scratch. You'll be informed, you'll be prepared, and you're going to be already ahead of the game, okay, because you're educated. All right, so if this sparked something new for you, some new thoughts, okay, or helped you see that home ownership might be closer than you thought, now's the time to take the next step. So I will keep these sessions free and personal, and I only have a few open spots each month so I can give each person real attention, okay? If you're just curious, grab a time now, no pressure. This is just a chance to get informed and figure out what's right for you. And I promise it will not be a sales pitch. It will just be facts and a path forward that's built around you. Okay, so before we wrap up, I want you to know what's coming next. After we wrap up this webinar, you're going to receive a follow-up email from me. In that email, you'll find everything we covered today neatly bundled up. You're going to get a copy of this presentation so you don't have to remember every detail. There'll be a link to schedule your one-on-one buyer strategy session, which is where we will dig into your personal situation to outline your best path forward to home ownership. And you're also going to get a link to the quick eligibility quiz, okay? And that's a great way to see what programs might be a fit for you. And then finally, I'm going to include a helpful buyer resource guide and my contact information just in case you have questions later, because my goal is to give you the tools, clarity, and a clear next step. And that starts with the email that I'm going to send you in your inbox. Okay, thank you so much for spending this 20 minutes with me. I told you it was going to be quick and factual and educational. I know your time is valuable, but I wanted to make sure you have the tools, the knowledge, and the confidence to take that next step towards home ownership. The process can feel overwhelming when you're doing it alone, but you don't have to. I've helped people like Ruth and Margaret who once sat where you were wondering if home ownership is even possible, and they are now living their dream home, okay? If they can do it, you absolutely can, because I know you can. I'm here to help guide you through the process one step at a time. You can be ready today. You can be ready tomorrow. You could just be exploring options. You could be thinking, oh, maybe I can spend this next year getting myself prepared so that in 2027, I can be a homeowner. Let's connect and see what's possible for you. So don't forget to check your email. I've included everything there that you need to take the next step. It was a pleasure working with you. Take care and have a great night.